Welcome back to Las Vegas, Nevada for a amazing Sunday, packed full of great action. My name is Dave Vincent alongside David Fink for the World Players of Handball, the World Three-Wall Ball Outdoor Championships, featuring all of the finals today. We're talking big ball, three-wall men's, the women's, as well as doubles, singles, one-wall action, and small ball will be here a little later on in the men's singles. And then, Dave, we're going to also go out over to that one-wall court and catch big ball one-wall singles and doubles, and we have the women's pro finals as well. I mean, it's a huge schedule of events here on Watch ESPN and the Watch ESPN app, and I am telling you what, it is going to be action-packed. The first one right on the docket is Ricardo Ruiz versus Juan Santos. Santos has been in the finals 3 consecutive years now. He was a Players' Cup champion one year. He lost that title last year. He wants that back, and he technically could surpass Samson Hernandez today if he wins this final. And Samson, in his third-place match, does not win that against Flash Tohin. He very well could lose that cup points, and it could be Juan Santos.
Well, Dave, today is the culmination of an amazing Players' Cup season that spanned California and Mexico, 4 events starting in June. Ricky Ruiz won the last event. He's on a 7-match singles winning streak entering this final. Juan Santos also on a 7-match winning streak. He didn't play stop number 4. He played stop number 3, won that. Now he's advanced to the finals. Juan Santos going for his 3rd straight three-wall ball world championship here. Ricky Ruiz going for his first. There's only been 3 guys to ever win a Players' Cup title. 2 of them are on the court here today. Juan Santos, Dave, 5 Players' Cup singles championships in 3 seasons. Ricky Ruiz with 1. Certainly, Dave, these are 2 of the top 3 players in the game. Perhaps Juan Santos, as you said, if he wins today for the 3rd consecutive year, could again become number 1. Ricky Ruiz certainly has established himself firmly inside that top 3.
Well, when it comes to the Cup Series as well as the power rankings, this final in Las Vegas is a 2-point or a double-point stop. And how does that affect a guy like Ricky Ruiz, who is trailing these guys by a good win and some good luck along the way?
Well, Ricky Ruiz knows that he's not going to become number 1 even if he wins today, but that's the farthest thing from his mind. He's thinking about winning this title, which would be the biggest of his career. Now, he did beat Juan Santos for the first time about 11 months ago in Southern California at the U.S. Open. That was a huge milestone for him. Yesterday, he defeats the number 1, Samson Hernandez, for the first time, and I'm talking about the first time in probably 50 matches. I mean, these guys play each other regularly, and he just dominated him. I mean, it wasn't as though he squeaked by. He just destroyed Samson in that 3rd game. Amazing play. Now, if he plays like that, there's no one that can beat him. Of course, Juan Santos has the equalizer, which is that amazing serve, the best serve we've ever seen in outdoor 3-wall big ball handball. So we'll see if Ricky is able to neutralize that serve and work his way into the rallies where he's become incredibly dangerous.
Now, Dave, there was a short period of time about 4 years ago when Ricky Ruiz and Samson Hernandez were number 2 and number 1 respectively. And then we started hearing about this young kid by the name of Juan Santos, who came from Orange, California. He was only 16 years old, 17 years old, and he started threatening some of those top guys. And once he started winning, the only person that could beat him was Samson Hernandez, but he was also the only guy that could beat Samson. And now here he is going for his 3rd consecutive World Outdoor Championship, and he has a complete different contrasting style. Let's talk about the styles. Not that I want to compare him to Samson Hernandez, who's not even in the final, but compare him to Ricky Ruiz, and we can still draw some comparisons to some of the other game's greats.
Well, yeah, completely different styles, like you said. Juan Santos is pretty much a finesse player, plays a lot of pass shots with an incredible serve. Ricky Ruiz is kind of a hybrid between finesse and power. Doesn't have the most power in 3-wall, but certainly is not lacking for power. Ricky Ruiz doesn't have as great a serve as Juan Santos, but he just has amazing kill shots with both hands and pass shots. And Dave, we're going to have an opportunity to talk to Ricky Ruiz with our sideline reporter Molly Jean Trotter. Ricky Ruiz had his entire family drive up from LA. They made the 4-hour trip. They left this morning at about 5 a.m. to be here to support him. They know how important this match is. I'd love to hear what Ricky thinks about his family making the drive here and what he thinks about this final. It's going to start in just about 5 minutes.
Well, let's go over to Molly and talk to her. Molly?
Now, guys, it's a great question. Now, Ricky, what they're talking about is that your family, both your brothers are here supporting you. You know, you're in your finals match here for men's big ball. How does it feel to have a great support system here at this game, at this match?
It's great. Actually, my dad and my wife and my sister all showed up this morning as well, so I'm gonna be ready for this. So I'll be all right.
And what do you want to show them here today?
Yeah, I'm the best at this, so I'm gonna try my hardest and just gonna leave it all on the line.
Now, you've had some pretty tough matches here this weekend. We're here on the the third day of the tournament, and you had a really tough one against Sampson yesterday. Now you're going to play Juan Santos. Now, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to change anything up? What are you trying to accomplish here in this match here for the last day?
With Sampson, it's much different. You gotta kill the ball with him. With Santos,
We're having some technical difficulties with her microphone. Let's go ahead and just cut this short, and we'll go back to her in just a few seconds, Dave. I know that she's still talking, but we'll go back to her in just a few. You see, unfortunately for Ricky, he's going to have a long explanation there, trying to explain what the contrasting styles between Juan Santos and Samson Hernandez. We're going to obviously fix some of whatever that interference is, possibly bring Ricky closer to our satellite van and get that interview with him. But there is contrasting styles. Now we see Juan Santos. You said he was a finesse player. For those that are small ball handball fans that have watched really the majority of our broadcast, which has been small ball indoor four wall, who would you compare a Juan Santos to?
Probably a young Dave Chapman from about 20 years ago when he came up as a 17 or 18-year-old. He was only about 140 pounds. He was going up against guys that were far bigger than him and more powerful, but yet he found ways to win by just his amazing placement and his anticipation and his ability to dictate the rallies by moving the ball side to side and just keeping his opponents off balance. I think that's probably the best comparison you can make.
Let's see if we've ironed out some of those kinks courtside with Molly Jean. You were talking to Ricky about the contrasting styles, Molly, and the difference between Samson Hernandez and that power that he has and Juan Santos's finesse and what Ricky's going to do with all of that garbage.
Now, Ricky, before the mic cut out on us, we were talking about how you're going to come into this match here against Juan Santos. Now, how do you plan on taking him in this match here?
He's going to use a lot of power towards his offhand. Power bothers him a lot. I noticed that about his game, and just attack his left pretty high and just keep my left in the game because my left is better than his, and just start from there and just get point by point and just hopefully finish it off today.
Now we're on the last day of the tournament. As we were talking earlier, you had some really tough matches, one against Sampson. Now, how are you feeling here on the last day?
I feel all right. Everyone's pretty beat up on the last day, but we're all here, and hopefully everyone's gonna give their best. So we're good.
Now, is there anything left that you want to accomplish here in this tournament before you go home?
I'm gonna try to slam. That's my accomplishment. Finish singles and doubles. So.
Great. Thanks, Ricky. Back to you guys.
Yeah, Molly, it's interesting. You said he wants to slam. That's another aspect to this whole thing. These guys have played a lot of rounds of handball, and Ricky is also in the pro doubles final, and that is sort of the grand finale here in Vegas. It's become the most rowdy crowd spectating extravaganza, and really the reason I think that a lot of his family members are driving over here. Of course, they'd love to see him take down Juan Santos in the singles, but the doubles has become sort of the big thing, and I really don't know why. And I guess it just draws the crowds. And Dave, can you put your finger on it? Why doubles seems to be more important than singles?
Well, the doubles is certainly thrilling. You have longer rallies, you have more gets, you have more diving. Generally, you have closer matches, and it always seems to come down to 1 or 2 points in every game, and that's what the crowd wants to see. But I will say, Dave, I saw Ricky's dad, Rambo, come up to him just about 5 minutes ago on the court. Now, Rambo's the kind of guy that kind of hangs back in the shadows. He doesn't like to put a lot of pressure on his sons while he's at the tournaments, but he came up to him and I saw him put his arm around him. He knows how important this is to Ricky, and he's here to support him. So I think on this day, the singles is going to mean more to Ricky than the doubles. Ricky's won a number of doubles titles, including the last 2 events. He's won some of the biggest doubles tournaments that we've ever had on this tour, and he hasn't yet won one of the biggest singles tournaments. He did win the last event in Tijuana, Mexico. Some would say there's an asterisk there because he didn't go through any of the top 5 players. But regardless, this would be his biggest ever singles title. And remember, he never beat Juan Santos before until 11 months ago. That was their last meeting. So he has confidence. He has confidence from beating the #1 yesterday. So I'm sure in his mind, he feels like this is his match to win.
Now, I know we're making this all about Ricky, but he is the underdog coming in. He was the finalist at the Simple Green U.S. Open of Handball back in October of last year. And he has had big game experience. He played in the doubles the previous year, winning with a 40-year-old at the U.S. Open, and he's also had big wins with Samson Hernandez in the Cup Series as his doubles partner. Two-time and current yellow jersey winner on the Cup Series with Timbo Gonzalez in doubles. You would probably say, coming up into this event, that he's a doubles specialist. And Dave, you've watched him play doubles. We've commentated on his doubles matches. He seems to be really strong and headstrong when it comes to that form of handball. But you know, the big game experience has to really be what is going to draw Ricky through this and keep him without those nerves.
Well, I think the doubles will really helps his singles game. It forces you to be more patient, because when you've got two other guys instead of one, you know, you can't actually go for low percentage shots and deep court kills like you would perhaps if you're not playing doubles. So I think the doubles has improved his singles game. It also forces you to deal with, you know, a lot of intensity and very close matches, because as we said, doubles is invariably close. Even if you have teams that are a level or two below, the matches seem to end up close.
We are going to have that men's finals coming up right around the corner. We're going to take a couple minutes off here and get ready for Juan Santos. He is already warmed up. He's on a back court, and now he's making his way to the court. So we're going to take a 2-minute break. Be right back here. Stick close. More action as we kick off the men's pro singles finals and the Cup Series finals here in Las Vegas for the World Three-Wall Ball Outdoor Championships, as we give this to you live on ESPN. The Watch ESPN app provided by the World Players of Handball at WPHlive.tv. For Dave Fink, Dave Vincent. So we'll be back in just a bit here on a Sunday in Las Vegas at the Stratosphere Hotel and Casino. Stick with us.
Ahern Rentals is the largest independently owned and operated rental business in the United States. We are proud to maintain outstanding working relationships with over 100 manufacturers, including JLG, Skyjack, Genie, Kubota, Multiquip, Honda, and many more. From coast to coast, Ahern Rentals is here to service your equipment rental needs. For a complete list of locations near you, please visit us at www.ahern.com or call 1-800-400-1610.
Rethink what you know about this Vegas icon. Elevate your expectations at the Stratosphere Hotel, Casino, and Tower. See what's new, up, down, and all around.
NFC, AFC, offensive linemen, defensive tackles, quarterbacks, and cornerbacks are all living united to ensure the academic success of millions of kids in our communities all the way to graduation day. But that won't happen without you. So take the pledge at unitedway.org. Make a difference in the life of a child. Suit up like your favorite NFL players and become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor with United Way.
Back in Las Vegas, Nevada, Stratosphere Hotel and Casino for the Three-Wall Ball Outdoor World Handball, Racquetball, Paddleball Championships. We talked about the players here in singles going up against each other and battling it out, mainly focusing on Ricky Ruiz since he is the underdog. But Dave, just watching this whole experience out here with racquetball and paddleball and handball, what are your impressions as a player that is a multiple-time athlete? You play golf, tennis, ping pong, whatever sport has been thrown your way, basketball, you excel at it. What is the thought about having all the different forms of handball combining together out here?
As a handball player, there's nothing better than this. I mean, this is the showcase really for pro handball, for outdoor handball. I mean, you'd never have an opportunity to play in front of this many people. The electricity is not something that it can ever be replicated at any other stop that we have. So it's great to be a part of it. I mean, it's better every year, and you know, if you're a handball player, this is the place you have to be in the second week in September.
The men are going to play a best 2 out of 3 to 15, tiebreaker also to 15. This is rally scoring, which really means that there's virtually a point scored on every end of every play.
Yeah, so don't switch the channel. This goes quickly. Even a close match is very quick.
It could be as few as 20 minutes and as long as an hour. And we've seen some of these matches that were very competitive go about 30 minutes long. So these are very fast. One of the reasons why there's just multiple forms of handball, and these guys are playing, you know, 8 rounds, 10 rounds, 20 rounds of handball in a weekend. And now we're getting a little bit of the crowd control and the announcement coming here from our referee, Chris Flash Tohin, who made it to the semifinals of this tournament. In this bracket is now reffing this match for us.
I need another linesman right here.
Looking for another lines judge as we get Juan Santos and Ricky Ruiz all settled here on the show court. Ricky warming up for a good 30 minutes prior to this beginning, and Juan Santos was playing mixed doubles on a backcourt, and I heard that they lost to Tanisha Grooms. That's Tracy Davis and Juan Santos losing in the finals. That's just a rumor.
Dave, the pros love handball more than anyone. They're entering as many divisions as possible. They just love to be on the court.
Well, that's another reason for the short format, is because, you know, we did the math on a couple of the players that were going 3 or 4 different ways out here, and some players could play 29 matches in 4 days. That's a lot of matches in this Vegas heat.
Well, there's only a certain number of courts also.
Versus Ricky Ruiz. 0 serving 0.
And here it is, the first serve.
One serving 0.
Very good start for Juan here.
2 serving 0. Three serving 0.
Not the start that Ricky Ruiz wanted, obviously. Juan Santos just on fire here, Dave.
This is what Juan can do.
4 serving 0. Hold it.
Oh. Oh, no.
No.
Now getting that crowd involved just a little bit with that call from Flash.
1 serving
Well,
4.
he changed his call, Dave. Gave Ricky Ruiz the point there. I think Juan said, give it to him.
And now 2 straight points for Ruiz.
I know that you've circled that on your scorecard.
I have a lot of circles. I go back to try to
2
remember what they
4.
were.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to start putting circles and commentary on that scorecard. That was a miss hit. Ricky should put this away. Doesn't do it, though, and then Santos hits it in the ground. Uncharacteristic for Juan.
3 serving 4.
They call him a Banez.
Oh, that's an amazing shot. He takes that right off the bounce and redirects it with power.
Coming up after
5
this
serving 3.
will be the women's singles finals. 3-wall big ball.
Banez' 2-wall serve is so deadly, Dave, that he runs Ricky right into the press section.
Somehow,
Timeout.
Banez
6
is able to
serving 3.
keep that
Timeout,
ball
Ricky.
in, and he does it so consistent.
Well, he cuts it and just has that amazing misdirection and awareness. It's as though he has eyes on the back of his head and the side of his head.
Well,
He just knows where his opponents are at all times.
For those at home that don't play this sport or have played forever or never played before, there are different varieties of handball. I'd like for you to talk about that just a little bit. There's a small ball, there's long walls, there's indoor handball, there's short wall outdoor, and certain players specialize in certain things. Juan was never a specialist in these short court handball forms of handball. He was more of a long court player. You can say the same thing about Ricky. You know, Dave, can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, it's a little bit like golf. I mean, you have all sorts of different courses. There's links golf. There's, you know, traditional target golf. There's long courses, short courses, you know, courses with a lot of out of bounds and a lot of water. I mean, that's kind of how three-wall handball is. All the courts are different, and certain players do play better on certain types of courts because they're used to it or because the courts suit their style of game. And I believe this court suits Juan's style of game better than any because he can use that serve, what we call out the door, running his opponents off the court.
Making me look bad. Let's go, 20 seconds. Here we go. 6-3. 6 serving 3. Over 6 serving 3. Seven serving 3.
Juan careless there. That was an easy put-away shot, and he
Next
left
one,
it way up. Ricky running towards it and had
4
it
serving 7.
a good look.
Wow. That's a beautiful shot from
Yeah.
Ricky Ruiz there, and he gets another point here on the scoreboard, going to 15.
5 serving 7.
Oh, it's incredible. Ricky hitting his hand on the side of the wall there. He still hit a good
serving
shot.
5.
You know, Dave, this game is a lot like playing pool. There's a lot of geometry to it. There's angles. The best players understand how to use the angles and play the angles.
9 serving 5.
You know, we're talking about court dimensions earlier, too. This is a 23-foot wide court.
Wow.
These guys normally play on 20 wide, so that extra 3 feet probably benefits a guy like Juan Santos. He seems to have great side-to-side coverage.
And that great serve that he can run way off the court.
I mean, that's just a
11
system that he has right there,
serving
that
five.
amazing serve. What do you do on that return so Juan doesn't just take one step and put it down the wall?
Well, I've seen some guys hit it into the left side wall high, and at least that gives them time to come back to the center of the court. If you drive it straight off the wall, you're still stuck off the court, and Juan's got 90% of the court wide open.
Now I see that Ricky goes off the court on that last serve from Juan Santos. Could Ricky use a fish shot and try to put a little bit more power, or is that cut the ball on the wall when it hits?
Well, I mean, I think his only play from there is probably to fist it into the left side wall and get it high enough so that it's not a kill shot opportunity for Juan, and then allow himself time to get back to the center of the court. You know, just hitting the middle of the front wall from 4 feet off the court is going to lose you every rally at this level.
Juan Santos is on the receiving end of 2 quick timeouts from Ricardo Ruiz, and you can tell Juan is just in his head trying to take the breath, try to keep out of the sun. He's also, I don't know how he does this, but he knows about how many seconds are still left on the clock, and you see him quite frequently look at the referee and point at his wrist saying, it's 60 seconds, why aren't we playing?
Yeah.
And you see him right at the end. It's not out of disrespect to the other player, but he knows that the more time he gives his opponent, it's going to benefit the opponent.
Right. Well, it's interesting. Ricky went over to his brother Shorty, who's also one of the top players, and Shorty gave him some coaching. And I've never seen that before with those two.
Well, they haven't been talking.
Well, I don't want to
Very
bring
much.
up any family feuds here.
I'm not saying there's a feud. It's just,
okay.
it's, you know, they get to these tournaments, they just don't talk to each other. But I like to see that.
Yeah, it's nice.
That friendly brother thing going on here. Ricky being the baby, they said.
6 serving 11.
That was almost one of those Sapo left-handed.
I don't think so. I think he put just the right spin on that.
Serving 6.
I think that pretty much put this game away. This is too big a deficit.
Terrible shot there from Ricky.
Yeah, not a good one from Juan either. And Juan goes for that same wide left corner kill with his left hand. but that time comes up 6 inches short.
7 points now for Ruiz. Oh, I like that. That's a risk, but it looks so easy for him to do it.
Well, I think he's aiming off the side of his hand there to put that overspin on it, and it worked.
8, serving 12.
We've seen the Ruiz brothers in crunch time make some amazing comebacks. Let's see if Ricky can have one here. I don't think that was a smart shot from Santos. He plays the wall, but the ball hits that sort of lip
9,
and
serving 12.
checks out.
Ibanez.
Timeout from Juan Santos. You heard the referee
8,
call him
1
Ibanez
minute.
there. 1 minute.
Santos and Ruiz played last year here under the lights, Saturday night semifinal. That match won by Juan Santos. Very entertaining 2-game victory for Juan, and it looked like Juan was on his way to a pretty comfortable first game victory here, leading 12-5. Now all of a sudden 4 straight points from Ricky Ruiz. Juan unable to capitalize on a couple of opportunities that he would normally convert, and Ricky hanging tough, making a couple good shots of his own, and now he's giving Juan something to think about.
This is a Cup Series, and these players play on the tour, and at the beginning of the season, with the very first stop, they start gathering points, and those points are tallied up, and it all culminates here with this big championship. He who has the most points at the end wins the Cup. Whether or not they win the tournament or not will give them this big gold or silver cup that we have up here on the broadcast booth table. We'll show you that image a little later. And Ricky went for it again and missed it.
That was an easier shot than the previous right corner kill that he made, and he has to be frustrated there, Dave. 12-10 and 13-9 is a huge difference.
13, serving 9.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like that shot.
Out.
Oh, and it just goes out by a couple inches, if that. I thought Ricky played that pretty good. Santos did not.
Possible point, serving 9.
It was a winning shot if it landed in.
And it is a first game going to Juan Santos, and a fist pump to himself there as he takes down Ricardo Ruiz. It would be nice if Molly Jean was able to catch Juan Santos here on the sidelines. We had a lot of FaceTime for Ricardo Ruiz, and hopefully we'll get MJT over here to give a quick interview with us and Juan Santos, but really quickly because he needs to hydrate. This is such a hot heat. Molly, let's go to you courtside right now with Ibanez.
All right, guys, I'm right here with Juan. Now, Juan, how do you feel you did in this first game here against Ricky?
I think I did pretty good, but there were a couple of shots that I could have done better. I have a couple of setups, and I get him back to Ricky, and he killed the ball, and I hope I don't make those mistakes this next game.
Now, what's a part of Ricky's game that is challenging you in your game here today?
He has both hands. He returns the ball good with left and right, so it's tough to make a good serve and get a weak return.
Now, Ricky is said to be the underdog here in this match. How are you going to challenge him and his strengths here in this match today?
Just going to try to keep playing my game, try to not give him any setups, try to move him around the court, and when I have a ball to kill it.
Thanks, Juan.
Yep.
Back to you guys.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what he needs to do, too, and he knows it. He is so perfect, and he makes some of these most amazingly fluent shots, but the one thing about Juan that I find just really odd is that he will have huge setups. We're talking sometimes 20 feet, and all he has to do is just put it away, and he leaves it up for his opponent to track it down. Is that just a mental thing where he says, I've got this, and he doesn't put it away?
Yeah, I think when he gets the easiest setups, he doesn't fully concentrate. I think he lets his guard down just a little bit, and he makes some sloppy shots where he either miss or just leave the ball way up, and like you said, give it back to his opponent, meaning giving his opponent a huge offensive opportunity when the point should have been over.
Well, Juan Santos takes that game number 1 against Ricardo Ruiz. Coming up, we'll obviously have game number 2, but also the women's big ball finals, and that is one for the ages, I believe, as Tracy Davis is going to go up against our current Cup champion for the first time, Tanisha Grooms. And that should be explosive because Tracy has won previously out here, and Tanisha's looked up to her, so we're going to have that match to talk about, and that's going to be a fun one.
I can't wait for that
Certainly want you all to stick around, and if you do anything today, catch that one coming up in just, I would say, probably 30 minutes or so, or less, depending on the outcome of this one. We're going to take a 1-minute break, just 1 minute. We'll be back in just a bit in Las Vegas for the three-wall ball outdoor championships. For Dave Fink, Dave Vincent, stay here at ESPN and the Watch ESPN app.
My life is full of statistics. Thing is, I could have dropped out of school and become one myself, but I didn't, because I had people that believed in me. Here's another statistic. 7,000 students drop out every school day. That's one every 26 seconds. It's time that students know that we believe in them.
Inspire a student and share your message of support at boostup.org.
Really? Buzz, what's up, man? You left some leaves burning out here.
Yeah, I just just came in just for a second.
Come on, man. If it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave. You could torch the whole neighborhood.
It's a good point there, Smokey.
9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Back in Las Vegas, Nevada, Stratosphere Hotel and Casino. We're right here on the parking lot floor as the men's big ball three-wall singles finals is underway. Juan Santos defeats Ricardo Ruiz here in that very first game, and he's getting ready for game number 2. Only 3-minute break between game number 1 and 2, and we thought about extending that here in Vegas to 5 just because of the heat, but the players seem, in especially big ball, wanting to just get right back onto the floor. Why is it that their style is different than the small ball guys who try to stall as much as possible? Is small ball just a harder game to play, Dave?
Well, you know, Rookie Wright, who's the greatest one-wall player of all time, said yesterday that, you know, playing with the small ball is heavier. It's like lifting weights. It's hard. It takes a lot of energy to hit every shot, whereas the big ball is easier to hit. It's lighter. It's softer. It stays up more. So I think that has a lot to do with it. There's not as much twisting and torquing and bending with the big ball. Now, of course, there is some, but I just think it's magnified using the small ball, which moves faster, a lot faster. It stays lower, and it spins, so it jumps left or right depending on how you spin your wrist at contact, and that causes quite a bit of fatigue. So also the small ball games are played with traditional scoring, which means the games generally take an average of twice as long as a big ball game. So I think you need a little bit more recovery time there as well. And we're back live here, Dave. And that's a good start for Ricky. Ricky will need to get off to a good start, Dave. There's nothing worse than losing the first game and then falling behind early in game 2. That's a great return there from Juan. And Dave, Ricky's legs look a little tired to me. I mean, that was a great shot from Juan, but that's a shot that I think normally he's able to adjust and throw that back to the wall.
Oh, that ball just clips the sidewall. Ricky kind of does a intentional, unintentional block, and it did not affect Juan Santos. Goes inside out. At such a young age, how do some of these players get so perfect on their technique? You see it kind of transcends the sport itself, because we've seen guys like Sean Lenning and Dave Chapman in their forms of handball just take it to a whole different level. Is that just a genetic thing?
Well, you have to understand how many hours these guys are putting into it. Juan Santos, for example, is coached by Goyo Tellez, who is the greatest outdoor big ball player probably in history. And, you know, these guys are spending, oh, that was a terrible shot from Juan, right to Ricky. But, you know, they're spending 5-6 hours a day on the court, 6 or 7 days a week, and they're playing against the best players from the time they're 13 or 14. So, you know, a young person is like a sponge. And when you've got talent and the right coaching and the discipline, it's going to happen quickly for you.
4 serving 3.
Thought that was in.
You might remember a baseball pitcher for the Atlanta Braves, a young guy that pitched in the World Series by the name of Steve Avery.
I do. He eliminated my Buccos
well
in 2 NL Championship Series.
The last shot on the left-hand side.
Line judge. Don't you believe that Juan Santos is a lot like that? Just at one moment in time. Let's take a instant replay here. It's not something that we have done. But
Thought it was in. Yeah, it was definitely in.
Let's go back. Let's go back again and see when it hits the line. Yeah, it's definitely in. The ball's definitely on the line. It's on the line. Yeah, it's in. Dave, is that we're using instant replay here now?
We just did it, so I guess yes.
I mean, if both players agree that they want the right call, that definitely was the right call.
It took Major League Baseball 120 years to put in replay. It took us 5 seconds.
They take 20 minutes on every single one. That took us, what did they say, 15 seconds.
I actually had it at 11.
Okay.
6, serving 4.
I want to thank our crew, Chris Garrad, Linda Manning, and those that are helping out with this broadcast. Amazing coverage. Look at that inside-out poke over there from Santos. Knows exactly where Ricky's at, puts it in the right spot. A low-risk shot, too. It wasn't that he went for a kill shot, but he certainly put it in the right spot, and that's an amazing serve and another point for Juan Santos and a timeout here from Ricardo Ruiz.
And, Dave, Ricky wasn't within 10 feet of that serve. I think Juan completely fooled him there, but also Ricky's legs just are not cooperating. Sometimes your mind tells you to do one thing and your body just doesn't listen.
Well, that's called the mind says go and the body says whoa. And, you know, out here in Vegas, obviously, it's just a whole different factor, but with this hot sun. But when you've played a lot of handball and you have been beaten in the first game, it even wears on you a little bit more, Dave. Well, your legs kind of just jump on you a little bit more. Let's go to Molly Jean Trotter right now, who's courtside with a spectator. It looks like Ricky's brother, Shorty. Molly?
That's right, guys. I'm here with Shorty. Now, Shorty, how do you think your brother's doing so far? I know a lot of people are talking about he looks a little tired. He's not really moving his legs too well. What do you think?
I think he needs to get him out the box, just push himself a little bit more, get him out the box, because right now he's giving him everything he wants. So as long as if he pushes them out, he should be able to get back in the game and get him off balance.
Now, we've been talking about last day of the tournament. Everybody's pretty exhausted. Just talk about the lengths you guys have to go through when you're on the last day of the tournament, trying to push through and win it.
It's the hardest day, day, because you can give it all out throughout the whole week, and the last day you got little. But if you got your mindset right, then you should be able to push through.
And another thing for this match, they're saying that your brother Ricky is the underdog. What do you have to say to that?
Yeah, because Ibanez won it last year, so I think he should be able to push it out.
And what do you want to see from him for the end of this match?
Just to jump up and say I'm proud of him.
All right, thanks, Shorty. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Molly. They're back into play here, and I like what Shorty said there at the very end.
Yeah, it's a sweet message.
What do you want to see? Well, I want to, be able to jump up and say congratulations. That's, that would help Ricky if he heard that, actually.
I think the Ruizes will be very proud of Ricky regardless of the outcome of this match.
Another thing that plays a factor with some of these players,
5, serving 8.
especially when Ricky defeated Samson the Great last night, that ends up being sort of like the Super Bowl win.
Yeah.
And you kind of lose, a little bit of your desire the next day because you just achieved something you've never done in your entire life. And that becomes that thing that you think about. And now he's going to get a little bit of crowd support here. Ricky scoring points.
7, serving 8.
Well, your adrenaline level drops a little bit, even though you'd think it would spike being in the finals. You just had the biggest win of your life. Took a lot out of you physically and mentally. Of course, you've got a guy who's making perfect shots. That doesn't help either. I'm not sure we're giving Juan the due here. I mean, he is playing nearly a flawless match with the exception of a couple of opportunities he hasn't converted and a couple of errors. I mean,
good ball.
Oh, that's amazing. That's another one of those examples of Juan just not fully concentrating, putting that shot away.
8, serving 9.
Also just a great shot from Ricky, too. Yeah. And Ricky looked slow getting to that ball. It wasn't like he exploded to it. He almost didn't want to dive, and when he did dive, he got to the ball and did the right thing with it.
Big setup here for Ricky.
And another point now at 10-9. Ricky's in the lead here for the first time in game number 2. Thought we'd see a timeout from Santos, but it didn't. Nope, there it is. He is going to take it.
First time in the match, actually, that Ricky has led.
You know, going back to that interview with Shorty Ruiz, you know, he said, you know, you can actually carry through here if your mind is right. Talking about those extensive amounts of play underneath this Vegas heat and multiple rounds of handball. Molly was asking that question, you know, how difficult is it? It looks like he's a little slow. But Shorty said, you know, if you really have your mind right, you can do it.
I think that's just great. Shorty coming out there during the timeout, giving Ricky some water and also a little bit of a pep talk. I know that would mean a lot to Ricky. It would mean a lot to any player to have your closest supporter and brother come out there and let you know that, hey, I'm behind you.
But going back to that, I think your mind is right comment. I believe Ricky's mind is right. This is one of the few times that we've seen where he has really been focused on just handball. He's got a great support system back home with his amazing wife, Nancy, and their future baby, and he's got a lot of love in his life now. He's not out here drinking and partying. He's really focused on winning. That's what he said is his drug. And it coincides with his family life. I don't know about that. I disagree with that call, Dave.
I don't see how that was a hinder. Juan was on the strong side there.
Oh, and the referee did call a point, and Juan did not like it. I agree with everybody so far except for Juan Santos.
Well, you can't actually appeal a hinder anyway. Is that what he's doing?
Yeah, he is appealing a hinder.
Yeah,
he's wanting a second opinion. He's wanting to be talked out of it, but I agree with the call from Manny.
Well, can we take a look at it here?
This isn't appealable.
No.
Point.
It's stallable, though.
11 serving 9.
I like that shot. Santos is so creative up there. You almost have to get him out of the front court. I don't know how you can do that, though.
Wow.
I mean, that's perfection there.
Yeah, that's the shot of the match.
10 serving 11.
At a crucial moment.
That would have put Ricky at 12-10 and serving.
That's Ricky's favorite shot. He talked
11
about
serving 11.
having a stronger left than Juan, and
I saw it good as well.
Yeah.
12 serving 11.
You know,
Timeout, Ricky.
we'll take an instant replay of that last serve. Juan has that lag. He keeps his arms so loose. He doesn't try and overhit, and therefore it's impossible to read his motion. Ricky was already heading out to the right, expecting that 2-wall serve, and at the last second, Juan just holds it and just pushes it out the door to the left.
Dave, I can't tell you what it is, but I believe Juan, he actually tips this. I think there's a tip that if you studied him on video a little bit more, I felt it right when he was about ready to strike the ball, that he wasn't going to go to that 2-wall serve. Now, everything seems to be a lot easier when you're about 50 feet away from the action, and that's where we're at. And we're watching this live as well from our press box, but, you know, I don't know if having video helps out these guys, and I know Ricky can go back and watch this later on the Watch ESPN app on instant replay. It'll be available indefinitely. But I think you can watch video and get some signs from your opponents. I do believe Juan does tip that just a little bit. He doesn't disguise it perfectly.
Man, I see you out there smiling.
But with that said,
5 seconds.
this is what makes Juan so dangerous. He has a system. He goes in there. He does that 2-wall serve.
Time in.
He pushes you off the court. You really have nothing you can do with your return. He comes in and flattens out the next one or pushes it down a wall and has you on the run no matter what.
Ricky anticipated that serve, but it was so good.
Point.
And that's almost like a box out, Dave, in the lane. Juan just
13,
pinned Ricky there on his left hip. Smart play. Wow.
And now Santos at 14. There's really nothing Ricky can do here.
No.
Santos just looking like the
Possible
pro that
point,
he
serves
is.
11.
Not only a possible point, but possible match.
That was a great return.
Ricky's going to get this.
Wow.
And there it is. Santos takes down Ricardo Ruiz and wins the Vegas three-wall ball outdoor championships for a third straight year. And now he's in the running for the Cup Series. He puts himself right there. It all comes down to that third place, fourth place matchup between our referee Chris Tohan and Samson Hernandez, who play at 1:45 p.m. today. Let's go to Molly Jean Trotter, who is courtside with our winner, Juan Santos.
First of all, Juan, congratulations. Now, a little bit earlier, I was talking to Shorty Ruiz, Ricky's brother, saying, you know, here on the last day of the tournament, it seems pretty tiring. Just explain how you got to this point and how you're feeling now.
I'm feeling exhausted. It's just playing 3 divisions is really exhausting, you know. But you got to give it all, especially at the end. You got to push hard just to get to the finish line.
And obviously the outcome was in your favor, and Ricky did try to battle and, you know, come back, and he did. So how did you feel he challenged you here in that second game?
He started moving the ball more, making deep serves, and killing the ball a little bit more. So he got the lead for a couple of points, but I was able to get it back and get back into the game.
And how are you feeling now that you won this match?
I feel excited, happy. It feels great to be the third time I win this tournament here in Vegas. So I'm really excited.
And what are you going to do now?
Just going to go home, get some rest, go see my family, my baby that just was born 2 weeks ago. So I'm just happy to go home and see her again.
You have anything you'd like to say to Ricky?
Oh, he played great, but unfortunately he lost.
All right, thanks, Juan. Back to you guys.
Okay, thank you very much. We are going to present Juan Santos with this trophy as Dave Fink will take over that microphone. Let's go to him.
Incredible performance. 3 years in a row here. What makes this venue so special to you, and what enables you to play so well here?
My family, my parents, all the people that come here and support me. Just always trying to win. Always try to be the best, you know?
Well, it's scary for the rest of the field because you seem to be getting better every year. And on behalf of WPH Outdoor, I'd like to present you with this championship cup. Congratulations. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you playing in our events. We're look forward to seeing you. We're going to look forward to seeing you about 6 weeks of USA. We're trying to win that one, but
Having some technical difficulties here with Dave Fink. As he's presenting that trophy here courtside with Juan Santos, that Cup Series, Dave is having that interview on the side there. We're going to have our commentary, and there's that round of applause for Juan Santos, who wins a trophy cup. Now, that is not the Players' Cup. That is going to go to the player with the most points, and that trophy is quite big. It very well could go to Juan Santos. It comes down to the points, as Samson Hernandez is going to play for third place. If he wins that, I believe he wins the Cup trophy. In the meantime, though, Santos has now put himself in pole position to take down those points and remove them from Samson Hernandez if he takes fourth place. That will take place a little later on today at 1:45 p.m., that third place match. We might even get that one on this live broadcast, depending on the situation with time. A Cup Series champion, Juan Santos, once again, he is being presented, and now all of his fans are wanting to be in the picture, getting their pictures taken for Facebook. Look at this little guy holding on to the cup. Santos winning this Cup trophy and the tournament in Las Vegas. We're going to take a break. We have more action coming up. In fact, the women's pro singles finals is coming up right around the corner, featuring Tanisha Grooms and Tracy Davis. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in about 5 minutes here courtside in Las Vegas, Nevada at the Stratosphere Hotel and Casino for the three-wall ball outdoor World Handball Championships. It was Juan Santos defeating Ricardo Ruiz. I want to thank you all for listening and watching live here on ESPN, the Watch ESPN app. For Dave Fink, Linda Manning, Chris Garrad, yours truly, Dave Vincent. We'll be back. More action coming up next here on ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.